The air in this reclaimed substation hums, a low-frequency current through ancient wiring, tasting of ozone and forgotten cigarette ash. Dust motes dance in the single neon tube, casting a wound-red glow on the hand-labeled vinyl records stacked beside the console. Outside, the city is a brass knuckle, but in here, the transmitter's pulse is the only steady beat. Cold coffee sits forgotten, a silent witness to the signal.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
In Toronto, we're reading 60 degrees Fahrenheit with light rain, fog. Wind check, south-southeast at 3 miles an hour.
Togee, in Western Australia, a recent shark encounter near Perth led to calls for a shark cull. Experts from the Australian Institute of Marine Science immediately pushed back, citing evidence that culls are ineffective and damage fragile marine ecosystems. The immediate consequence is heightened anxiety for beachgoers, while marine conservation efforts face significant public pressure, potentially impacting government funding for non-lethal research.
Lex, it's a modern echo of ancient human fears against the wild, clashing with our evolving understanding of interconnected systems. We see the primal urge to eliminate perceived threats, like a hunter demanding the removal of a dangerous animal from their territory. But here, the territory is a shared global commons, and the shark represents a vital, if feared, part of that architecture. It's about discerning the architectural signal of a balanced ecosystem from the toxic residue of fear-driven policy.
Beyond the waves, Australian university students are reporting a chill in free speech. Lex, what's the tangible consequence there for individuals and institutions?
On campuses like the University of Sydney and Melbourne University, student surveys indicate up to 40% of students self-censor in classrooms or online, fearing backlash or academic repercussions for expressing unpopular views on sensitive topics like gender identity or climate policy. This exposes university administrations to accusations of stifling academic freedom and potentially damages their reputation as bastions of open inquiry, directly impacting enrollment and research funding from diverse donors.
This cultural chill on campus feels like a silent cage, Togee. Students are effectively performing a continuous, self-imposed loyalty test, creating an environment where radical ideas, even well-reasoned ones, struggle to find air. It's a system where logic and emotion are battling rather than complementing each other, undermining the very idea of a university as a space for intellectual combat and growth. Who carries the burden when vital discourse is stifled this way?
Precisely, Anansi. When we build civic architecture, it must favor consent and dignity, not silent compliance. We've got a call coming in. Static crackles, then a clear, firm voice cuts through, like a signal finding its exact frequency. Patching in a caller. You're on the signal.
This is Ben from Perth. You talk about shark culls being ineffective, but what's a concrete alternative when my kids want to swim? And for these students, if they're too scared to speak up, what's the actual cost to public debate? Who pays for that lost exchange of ideas?
Ben, those are the right questions. For sharks, a viable alternative to culling is deploying advanced non-lethal deterrents, like drone surveillance, with real-time alerts or shark spotting programs, alongside targeted eco-barriers in popular swimming zones. The chosen next move for authorities leans towards increased research into these technologies, aiming for public education campaigns on safe ocean practices rather than lethal interventions. For the universities, the cost of lost debate is borne by society as a whole, which misses out on innovative solutions and critical perspectives. A chosen next move for some student bodies is advocating for independent ombudsman roles to mediate free speech disputes, establishing clear, transparent policies on expression, and funding open dialogue forums outside traditional classroom settings to build resilient intellectual architectures. This brings us squarely to another figure navigating a very public cage fight. Donald Trump, at 80, is still framing his legal battles like a Houdini act.
Togee, Donald Trump, facing 91 felony counts across several jurisdictions, including the recent New York civil fraud judgment of $454 million, continues to cast himself as a political Houdini, escaping legal constraints through sheer will. This strategy exposes the U.S. judicial system to immense public scrutiny, with the integrity of court decisions questioned daily by his supporters, potentially eroding public trust in the rule of law itself. The immediate consequence is a deepening partisan divide around legal processes.
Lex Trump's Houdini framing taps into an archetypal American myth, the rugged individualist escaping entanglement, turning confusion into an actionable vector of defiance. It redefines legal accountability not as justice, but as a political trap. He's performing a cage fight for the public, where emotional resonance trumps logical arguments, aiming to integrate his legal battles into a narrative of persecution that fuels his base. This cultural weave connects him to a lineage of anti-establishment figures who thrive on conflict.
The spectacle is undeniable. Anansi, what about the cost to the political landscape, and who carries that burden?
Debrief like designers. Log the friction, script a small rule bend, and try it live.
The cost is a further degradation of political discourse, Togee, where policy debates are sidelined by legal drama and personal attacks. The burden is carried by the electorate, who struggle to discern substantive issues from performative outrage, making informed civic participation increasingly difficult. This erodes the dignity of the political process itself, transforming it into a reality show where consent for governance is based on spectacle, not substance.
This performance of defiance has clear consequences for public trust. We've got another caller on the line. Static crackles, then a clear, firm voice cuts through, like a signal finding its exact frequency. Patching in a caller. Go ahead.
This is Maria from Queens. Trump calling himself Houdini. It's just a distraction from the actual court cases. What's a real alternative to this constant legal drama for the country? And who really benefits from him playing the victim?
Maria, your discernment is sharp. The primary benefit of the victim narrative is political mobilization for Trump's base. For the country, a viable alternative to this ongoing legal drama would be for all parties, including the media, to prioritize an objective focus on the judicial process and its outcomes, rather than amplifying the political theater. The chosen next move, however, appears to be Trump continuing to leverage these legal challenges as a central pillar of his campaign, framing them as politically motivated attacks to rally support. The courts, meanwhile, proceed with their trials, operating under immense public and political pressure. This brings us to the global stage, where Jessie J's triumphant return is highlighting the immense lure of the Chinese market.
Togee, Jessie J, known for winning Singer 2018 in China, recently released new music targeting that market. This move highlights China's entertainment industry, valued at over $150 billion, as a lucrative prize for Western artists. However, it exposes artists like Jessie J to the tightrope walk of navigating strict content censorship and potential political sensitivities, risking backlash from Western audiences if they appear to compromise artistic freedom or universal values.
Lex, this isn't just about album sales. It's a strategic dance around a gilded cage. Jessie J's journey echoes a long lineage of cultural exchange, but now with the added layer of digital authoritarianism. The Chinese market offers immense financial provenance, but at the cost of potential self-censorship, where artists must integrate their logic and emotion to align with Beijing's narrative. It's an architectural signal of soft power, connecting economic opportunity with cultural compliance. Who carries the next iteration of this complex cultural negotiation?
The stakes are high for artistic integrity and global cultural flows. What is the tangible cost for artists and the broader entertainment industry, Anansi?
The tangible cost for artists is the erosion of their creative autonomy and the potential loss of their authentic voice, Togee. For the broader entertainment industry, it's a dependency on a market that can arbitrarily impose restrictions, making long-term strategic planning fraught with risk. This creates a civic architecture where economic leverage dictates artistic output, challenging the dignity of creative expression.
The pursuit of market share often clashes with artistic sovereignty. We've got our final caller.
This is Sam from Vancouver. It feels like artists just sell out to China. Is there any way for them to access that market without compromising their values? What's the real alternative to this cultural compromise, and who benefits if they do stand firm?
Sam, your question cuts to the core of artistic autonomy. A viable alternative for artists to navigate the Chinese market without compromising values is to collaborate with independent Chinese artists or cultural organizations that prioritize artistic integrity over state-sanctioned narratives, even if it means sacrificing scale. This builds resilient inner architecture, asserting self-worth as structural. The chosen next move, however, for many mainstream artists, is to continue engaging with the Chinese market, carefully calibrating their public statements and content to fit local regulations, hoping to find a balance between commercial success and ethical boundaries. If artists do stand firm, the benefit goes to global cultural diversity and the assertion of universal artistic freedom, but the immediate cost is often significant financial opportunity.
Play the next move.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.